네, 지금 주요 네 외빈께서 입장하고 계십니다. 따뜻한 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. And now, let us begin the Uppsala University Linnaeus Medal Award ceremony. Allow me to briefly inform you of the order of events. President Yang Choi of Halim University will kick off the ceremony with his opening address. This will be followed by a congratulatory address from Vice Chancellor Anders Hagfeldt of Uppsala University. After that, we will be introduced to Uppsala University and Carl von Linnaeus, Professor of Medicine and Botany, as well as the disciplinary domain of medicine and pharmacy at Uppsala University and the collaborative relationship between Halim and Uppsala. And then the Linnaeus Medal will be conferred to Chairman Tae-won Yoon, who will give his acceptance speech in return. Before we begin, let us take a moment to welcome our distinguished guests. Please greet them with a warm round of applause as I introduce them to you one by one. Allow me first to acknowledge the Swedish delegation who have traveled a great distance to present the Linnaeus Medal to today's honoree. From Uppsala University, we welcome Vice Chancellor Anders Hagfeldt. Editor of the Dag Hammarskjöld Foundation, Mrs. Simone Hagfeldt. Former Vice Chancellor and Professor Emeritus Anders Hallberg. Professor Hallberg received the degree of Honorary Doctor of Medicine from Halim University in 2019. Also from Uppsala University, we welcome Professor Emeritus Kjell Öberg. Vice Rector of the Disciplinary Domain of Medicine and Pharmacy, Mats Larhed. Deputy Vice Rector of the Disciplinary Domain of Medicine and Pharmacy, Eva Tiensu Jansson. Deputy Academy Steward, Mikael Norby. And Faculty Officer and Event Manager of the Office for Medicine and Pharmacy, Agneta Mattsson. All the way from New York, we have the pleasure of welcoming President Emeritus of the New York Presbyterian Hospital, Dr. Robert Kelly and Dr. Anna Kelly. And from the Embassy of Sweden in the Republic of Korea, we have the honor of welcoming Ambassador Daniel Volven. And last but not least, Science and Innovation Counselor Anders Hector. Thank you all very much once again for gracing us with your presence today. And now, let us invite President Yang Hee Choi of Hanlim University to deliver his opening address.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to this momentous occasion as we celebrate the remarkable achievements of Dr. Daewon Yoon, Chairman of the Ilsong Educational Foundation, with the awarding of the prestigious Linnaeus Medal. Due to circumstances related to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Linnaeus Medal Award ceremony was unable to take place in 2020 when Dr. Yoon was announced as the recipient. Therefore, it is with great pleasure that we commemorate today the belated presentation of the medal to Dr. Yoon. I extend my sincere appreciation to Dr. Anders Hagfeldt, Vice Chancellor, and Dr. Anders Hallberg, Professor Emeritus of Uppsala University, for making the long journey from Sweden to personally confer the medal to Dr. Yoon. I must also thank Dr. Robert Kelly, the President Emeritus of the New York Presbyterian Hospital, for joining us in this celebration. Your presence here today is a true testament to the strong and enduring relationship between our institutions and the deep commitment we share to advancing the field of medicine. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Daewon Yoon on receiving the Linnaeus Medal, a well-deserved recognition for his outstanding contributions to the medical field. Dr. Yoon has dedicated his career to advancing medical research and improving patient care. His vision and leadership have been instrumental in the growth and success of the Hanlim University Sacred Heart Hospital Centers, which now comprise 5 general hospitals. They serve as a leading center for medical education, research, and clinical practice. Dr. Yoon's impact on the medical field extends beyond his role as a healthcare executive. He also holds the distinction of performing the first successful pancreatic transplant surgery in Korea, thereby demonstrating his commitment to public health and medical advancement. Both as a medical doctor and as a healthcare executive, Dr. Yoon has made a profound impact on the lives of countless individuals in Korea and beyond. I believe that his achievements embody the spirit of Carl Linnaeus and serve as an inspiration for future generations of medical professionals. I also believe Dr. Yoon's acceptance of Linnaeus Medal paves the way for a new chapter of collaboration between Uppsala and Hanlim. Our universities share a common goal of advancing knowledge and improving the lives of people around the world, and our partnership will help us achieve this goal. Together, we can explore new frontiers of research, develop innovative solutions to global challenges, and create a brighter future for generations to come. So once again, congratulations to Dr. Daewon Yoon on this well-deserved honor. Your contributions to the medical field have been truly inspiring, and we are privileged to have you as the leader of our community. Many thanks also to the Uppsala University and New York Presbyterian Hospital delegations. I look forward to the continued partnership between our institutions. Thank you all for joining us on this special occasion. Thank you.
And next, Vice Chancellor Anders Hagfeldt of Uppsala University will deliver his congratulatory address.
Honorable Chairman Yoon, President Choi, Ambassador Volvén, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. 15 years have now passed since Uppsala University and Hallum University agreed on the value of entering into formal cooperation. For our alma mater, this friendship has brought new insights and perspectives, and we regard it as one of our most important international collaborations in medicine today. Working internationally is a prerequisite for success and for the development of any leading university. It is in company and in discussion with our critical friends that we see ourselves and one another in our greatness and in our shortcomings. We grow stronger together, and together we can achieve our ambitious goals. The ties of friendship between our universities, which we value so highly, would not have been possible without the personal commitment and generosity that all those involved have shown over the years. The outcome has been not only exciting research results and exchanges, but also cultural insights and experiences that we participants will bear with us for the rest of our life. At the heart of all cooperation, there are enthusiasts who are willing to go the extra mile to keep all parties on board. The Uppsala Hallum family has been blessed with unusually strong cohesive forces, and this is due to the support at Hallum of a patron who has stood out above all others and who has inspired and furthered our relations. Honorable Daewon Yoon, MD, PhD, Chairman of the Ilsong Educational Foundation, Hallum University, and Hallum University Medical Center in Seoul, Republic of Korea. For many years, you have supported and stimulated research cooperation in medicine between Uppsala University and Hallum University. You have often, Chairman Yoon, expressed your great interest in Uppsala University, its activities and its long history, and your gratitude for Sweden's support to the Republic of Korea during the 20th century. This has underpinned and driven a labor of many years to bring our two universities closer together. By organizing scholarly symposia and exchange programs for researchers and students, and by stimulating joint research projects, you, Chairman Yoon, have been an outstanding international partner for Uppsala University. You have also paved the way for and facilitated contacts with other universities and research councils in the Republic of Korea, thus generating further exchanges between Uppsala University and your country. For all these reasons, we wish today to recognize you and your great contributions, not only to our university, but to forging of closer bonds between our nations. This is a day of joy for me as Vice Chancellor. I'm fully convinced that our cooperation will live on and that it can serve as an example to others. Together with you at the rudder, we have created something unique and important. Our cooperation and our firm friendship will send many ripples far and wide. To manifest our gratitude, our friendship, and our shared values, we would like to present you with one of our greatest honors. It is a medal that symbolizes all that our university aspires to be. It bears witness to tradition. The face of the medal depicts Carl Linnaeus, perhaps our most famous man of science, who put Uppsala University once and for all on the scientific map. His pioneering work in botany surpassed the wildest dreams of any predecessor. And note this, he did it as a professor of medicine. It was not until later that botany became to be regarded as a field in its own right, a development that would probably have been longer delayed had it not been for his unparalleled achievements. I believe the picture on the medal still retains its power to inspire. It illustrates how vital one man's achievements can be for the future, how great an impact one person can have by their labors and their abilities. For this reason, we consider this medal a fitting honor for you, Chairman June. What you have done has far surpassed all expectations. You have created something that can live on and continue to enrich the world for many years to come. This medal is therefore more than just a golden symbol. It is a sign of our friendship, of our ties, of our gratitude for a boundless generosity that has brought our nations, our universities, our researchers, and all of us who are gathered here today closer to one another. Thank you. Kamsahamnida.
And now, Deputy Academy Steward Mikael Norby will give us an introduction of Uppsala University and Carl von Linnaeus, Professor of Medicine and Botany.
Dear Chairman Jung, Presidents, past and present, Vice Chancellors, past and present, Your Excellency, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, quite simply friends. I have been given the task to talk about the oldest university in Northern Europe and one of the greatest figures in scientific history, and I've been given 20 minutes to do it, so this will be rather quick. I will start with the general presentation of Uppsala University and its history, and then we will go into Linnaeus. So here we go. This is really the beginning. This is old Uppsala, the burial mounds of the kings 1,500 years ago. This is the grandfathers of the Vikings. And you wonder, where is the city? Well, observe the fence, turn around, and 6 kilometers to the south, you have the modern city. The city of today is 250,000 inhabitants, 4th largest in Sweden, and fairly spread out in a very flat landscape. It has always been quite compact. This map, around 1680, shows you something roughly 8 blocks square, with the castle on the hill to itself and the cathedral in the middle. And the cathedral the cathedral completely dominates the city. And as you saw, to give you an idea of height, I have included some Korean guests that gave us a good opportunity to actually see this. The cathedral is 118 meters high, the largest in Scandinavia, built around 1230. The church is the connection to the university. Sorry, I have very fast fingers today. The Archbishop Jakob Ulfsson requested permission from the Pope, Sweden was still a Catholic country, in 1477 to open the university. The request was granted and the charter of the university was delivered. This is the original document giving the rights and privileges of Uppsala, and this also gives us an official birthday, 6th of October 1477. And by a bit of calculation, you will realize that the 550th anniversary is not far away. Of the early students, we know very little, except for one of them. Ole Johansson, a student from the island of Gotland, left lecture notes. 7 complete volumes of lecture notes, so be careful. 500 years from now, your notes might be in a museum. All 7 volumes are preserved in the university library. The next important stage at the university is due to this man, the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus. In 1618, he started to present the university with donations. He understood the importance of the university being economically independent. His donations ended up making us totally independent for more than 200 years, and still today they fund roughly 3% of our budget. During his reign, we also introduced the seal, that still is being used. The Academy of Uppsala, you can read along the sides. This is in Latin, of course. And the 3 words in the center is really central to the university. At the top, gratia, grace, divine grace in this case. In the center, truth, veritas, and below, nature. So to reach the truth through the grace of God and the study of nature. That's a motto I can still abide to. During the reign of Gustavus, a new main building, actually the oldest building that still stands for Uppsala University, was given. This is the Gustavianum, named after the king. And it was there the first professor to become famous from Uppsala University, Olof Rudbeck, did most of his work. He was professor of practical medicine and theoretical medicine, but he was also prepared to teach architecture, mechanics, philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, history, and music. A multidisciplinary character, you can say. He is the man who discovered the lymphatic gland system, and that made him famous in Europe. He also built the top of the Gustavianum into this cupola that houses an anatomical theater, once again demonstrated by a Korean group that may be familiar to some of you. The next big name is Anders Celsius, professor of astronomy, and his observatory is still preserved, although it's in the middle of the city now, so it's a bit hard to use it as an observatory. The flat roof was, of course, used for observation. Although he is, of course, today better known, or I should say almost only known, for this, the centigrade scale thermometer. This is the original. This is one of the 2 prototypes. So when you write C for temperature, it's not centigrade, it's Celsius. This is one of 5 scales or measurements that are named after researchers connected to the university. Then, of course, Linnaeus, but I'll come back to him in a moment. Named after him is Linnaeanum, a large building that was devoted to systematic botany in the middle of the botanical gardens in Uppsala. A very atmospheric place at night, and on occasion used for dinners for distinguished guests. Another of the very large signal buildings in the city is the Carolina Rediviva, the university library. Please note the balcony on the front of the building. We'll come back to that in a moment. Inside, you have, of course, the classical spaces, the classical spaces of a university library. But last of April every year, the Student Carnival of Uppsala, all the students of the city congregates in front of the building at 3 o'clock. The Vice-Chancellor steps out on the balcony and declare spring. And after a long Swedish winter, I assure you that spring is welcome. According to the police, on this picture, there is something like 70,000 people. That means the whole university is there and probably another 20,000 extras. Back into history. In 1872, things changed quite dramatically when this lady arrived. This is Betty Pettersson, the first female student. She studied modern languages and literature and then became the first female teacher at a state boys' school and opened the way for many others. Roughly contemporary to her is the main building. We still refer to this as the new main building. And of course, delegations tend to be photographed in front of it. Inside, you have large rooms and halls. And I was just going to show you some pictures from one of the biggest events, the conferment of doctorates. We actually did one just 5 days ago. The student marshals line up carrying the banners of the student unions and the various student organizations. Together with the guests and the doctors-to-be and guests, you march into the large auditorium, and there, of course, the ceremony is being performed, just to give you an idea. And the whole thing comes down to this, of course. You receive your diploma, your laurels, or your hat, depending on faculty. You bow to the auditorium, and the next one steps up. After that, you may end up in the large reception rooms upstairs. This is actually the Vice-Chancellor's own reception room. I'm a 19th century historian, so I tend to stay in that era, but I have to add a little modern. For the 500th anniversary of the university in 1977, a large new building complex for the biomedical center was added. This has been expanded. In the 1990s, the Ångström laboratory came for the sciences, and it has been greatly expanded. I'm slightly embarrassed. This picture is a bit out of date. The 2 parking lots you see are now filled with buildings, including that one. And then we have the modern humanistic theater that was added in 2017, together with the new administration building. Once again, very speedy fingers. That includes a rather marvelous interior staircase. You become a bit confused the first time you see it. In 2013, the university expanded, and a small university college on the island of Gotland, situated in converted factory buildings, totally refurbished on the inside, was added. Gotland, of course, or Visby rather, being a medieval city, and the campus just being down by the harbor, rather magnificent view, was of course visited also by a Hallam delegation a couple of years ago. And Nobel Prizes tends to be interesting. 16 alumni of Uppsala University have received the Nobel Prize, 8 of them for work done directly at Uppsala University. Probably the best known is Dag Hammarskjöld, the second General Secretary of the United Nations, who received the prize in 1961. And then, of course, we are happy to mention last year's recipient, Svante Pääbo, who received the Medicine Prize, of course, also an alumni. But now, over to Linnaeus. And this is the picture you used to see. Linnaeus is an elder man, but I want to concentrate on young Linnaeus to start with. This is his wedding picture. He was 32 at that point, but let's do history now. He was born in the south of Sweden. His father was a minister in the Lutheran Church of Sweden, and his mother had decided that he should also become a priest. But after one semester at university, it was quite clear that that would not happen. He got a grudging permission from his family to become a doctor instead. He then moved from the University of Lund, where he had started his studies, to Uppsala. And that was good for two reasons. First of all, he came to us. And secondly, he became acutely aware of the big problem of botanists. That was, there is no unified system for identifying plants. In Lund, he had been taught a Danish system. In Uppsala, there was a French system used. There was more than 20 different forms of cataloging and identifying plants. Linnaeus decided to do something about this. And he had the ideas already, as can be seen from this, the first book he wrote. And I mean, he wrote it. I think you see quite clearly, this is handwritten. This is his 1729, a prelude to the marriage of plants. It's simply, how do plants reproduce? And 1729, he was 22 years old, and he already had the idea. 3 copies he made, and strangely enough, all 3 copies survive. We have 2 of them. Now he had the idea, he just had to get famous. And he solved that by traveling north. This is Linnaeus in the Same costume that he acquired. He traveled up to the Arctic Circle. He collected more than 200 different species of plants unknown to man, or at least unknown to science, brought them back, and then traveled to the Netherlands, where he received his doctorate and where he printed his great work, the Systema Naturae. That was done in 1735, and this is the work where he introduces the binomial name system based on how the plants reproduce, the flower. And as the name gives, the system of nature, it was supposed to be everything. So, of course, he also added animals and minerals. He thought he could make a universal system. The minerals were quite quickly dropped, but the animals and the plants have, of course, stayed basically on the system. Here you can see the animal kingdom, and quadruples, birds, amphibians, fish, insects, worms, and in the center, paradoxia. This is his very special genius. When you make a system, always create a loophole for everything that doesn't fit into the system. So that's the paradoxia. Linnaeus himself named more than 12,000 species of plants. This is the one he named after himself, a very discreet Linnea borealis, 2 flowers in English. After his doctorate, he returned to Uppsala and became professor in 1741. And he quickly built the botanical garden to his own taste. And that one is still with us today. Today it is the Linnaeus Gardens. And there, every single plant, there's more than 2,000 of them, has a sticker, a hand-painted sticker with the name according to the binomial name system, the numberation according to the system, the name in Swedish, and in most cases, the big letter L on the right-hand side, stating that this is one of the plants named by Linnaeus himself. Linnaeus mostly resided in the official residence for the professor of theoretical medicine, because that was his post. This is exactly at the corner of the garden, so he was quite happy with that. But he also spent a lot of time in his summer residence out at Hammarby, and, there he has been visited once again by Koreans and Uppsalians. The buildings are well preserved. The rooms are almost kept exactly as they were during his lifetime, and they can be explored, especially if you bring a torchlight. Linnaeus is known to have been an exceptional teacher. He brought a group of highly dedicated students, and many of them sailed out on expeditions around the world, collecting enormous amounts of material from, as you can see, every inhabited part of the world. All of this was sent back to Linnaeus in Uppsala, where he built up a large collection, and everything was sorted and catalogued according to the system. On the occasion of the 300th birth of Linnaeus, it was decided that a special event should be done. And for that event, the medal was created. You will hear more about that in a moment. This is one of the recipients of the first time the medal was awarded, and that was the 23rd of May in 2007, the 300th anniversary of the birth of Linnaeus. So we're missing his birthday with just a week. And you probably recognize Kofi Annan, the previous General Secretary of the United Nations. He is delivering one of the speeches during the dinner for the Linnaeus Jubilee. The medal, well, you should always look close at the medal. The ribbon, to start with, red and yellow, that is the colors of Uppsala University. On the face of the medal, you have young Linnaeus. You have his name, his dates, and the year the medal was instituted. The back is a bit more complicated. There you have the Linnea, the flower he named after himself, 2 seeds, the botanical garden as it looked in his day, the name of Uppsala University, and the Latin text in the middle gives a motto from Linnaeus, which I think is highly inspiring still. Contemplating nature is a constant joy to the soul. And with that, I thank you for your attention.
So now that we have a better understanding of Uppsala University and Carl von Linnaeus, we will be introduced to the disciplinary domain of medicine and pharmacy at Uppsala University by Vice Rector Mats Larhed and Deputy Vice Rector Eva Tiensu Jansson.
Honorable Chairman John, Honorable President Choi, Ambassador Volvén, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. I have the honor and privilege to tell you a little bit about modern medicine and pharmacy at Uppsala University. And I will do this together with Professor Eva Tiensu Jansson. But first, we will have a short movie to start up the presentation.
Domain of medicine and pharmacy. Over the years, we've been home to many future thinkers. But speaking of the future, how does history really matter? Well, actually, a lot. In fact, it's our shared mission to take collectively one progress forward. Students, teachers, researchers, everyone and every day, in everything we do, across the wide range of disciplines at our university. Because even though we represent different areas and our backgrounds are diverse, we share the same vision: to contribute together through research, education, development and innovation to better health and a better society.
you. So I will now give a little bit more detailed background and information of medicine and pharmacy. On this slide, we have a short summary of our faculties. So we are very proud of our ranking in life science. And of course, we are also very proud of our professors, our students, our researchers, and our teachers. Now, when Mr. Norby have given you some background to Uppsala, I included this map, and what you see in the center is the big cathedral with its high towers. And directly to the left, you see the university hospital, where we have a lot of our research ongoing. And if you move a little bit left from the hospital, you see yellow buildings. And there we have the translational medicine. We have epidemiology, imaging, health economy. We have biobanks. We have support for clinical research. And we also have the innovation center at the university. If you continue to the left, you see the Angstrom laboratory, which Mr. Norby showed you, which is the Center for Technology and Science. And if you move right up from the hospital to the left, you have the biomedical center, where you have preclinical medicine. You have something called SciLife Lab, which is a national infrastructure for molecular science, and you have the Faculty of Pharmacy. You have a pink building to the left of the cathedral, which is the castle of Uppsala University. So the picture of Dag Hammarskjöld from previous presentation was taken when he gave a speech in the castle. And Dag was also born and raised in this castle. Furthermore, you have to the right of the cathedral, top right, you have the university library. So as you can see, Uppsala University is a small city, especially compared with Seoul. And I can easily bike perhaps 5-10 minutes from the left of this map to the right of this map. If we look a little bit more in detail on the buildings, you see the hospital area on a summer day, and you see the Rudbeck laboratory and the hub, the translational part of our medical faculty, to the bottom left. And you can see that the colors of the leaves have started turning red, so it's the autumn time. Just a few words about the faculties. So Faculty of Pharmacy is the smaller faculty. It's the only Faculty of Pharmacy we have in Sweden. And we teach and educate in classical pharmacy, but we also have international programs in English for foreign students. And we are the only university providing training in clinical pharmacy in Sweden. The much bigger medical faculty, here we of course have the classical MD programs, but also programs for midwives, nursing, physiotherapy, and so on, and a large number of international master educations. The most recent ones are in precision medicine and in implementation, transformative learning, and sustainability. We have one of these programs which is in innovative medicine, which is done together with University of Heidelberg and University of Groningen, focusing on translational medicine and innovations. And innovations is an important part of our work in Uppsala. So this is our vision, but we don't only aim to educate and to do research, we also focus on health innovations. And this is a very strong area in Uppsala. The life science sector is growing very quickly, and there's a large number of small startup companies starting every month, starting from findings made at the university. In order to enable transdisciplinary research at medicine and pharmacy, we have about 25 centers. In this case, we try to work across borders, and we also try to collect the high-level technical equipment at those centers. So, for example, we have national responsibility for biobanks, and we're also coordinating precision medicine in Sweden by the Genomic Medicine Sweden project. We have centers focusing on mental health, and we have one center dealing with men's violence towards women, trying to work with this problem. And finally, on this list, we have Uppsala Antibiotic Center, which is a truly transdisciplinary center working with all problems in this area. And this Eva will soon tell you more about. I thought we should also include some examples of our ongoing research. And my first example here is two professors at the Faculty of Pharmacy who work with innovative technologies for personalizing drugs and doses. So in this case, we have Ulrika Simonsson, who is a professor focusing on developing pharmacometrics, AI, and mathematical models to optimize the use of pharmaceutical drugs and antibiotics. And we also have Christel Bergström, another professor focusing on 3D printing of pharmaceutical drugs. Especially this way you can design individual dosing, and she's working a lot to help kids with diseases to get the right dose and to get as much help as possible. And finally, on this slide, we have Kerstin Lindblad too, a professor at Uppsala. This spring, she published 11 articles back to back in Science. So she filled a complete volume of science. And she's focusing on comparative genomics. And in this study, she has looked at the genomes of 240 mammals and trying to learn the genetic information. And by comparing it and following it, we learn also information that will help us in medicine. I think I stop here, and I will leave the word to Professor Eva Tiensö Jansson, who will continue the presentation.
Mats, Honorable Chairman Jung, President Choi, Ambassador Volven, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. It's a great pleasure for me to also be here to represent our Faculty of Medicine and Pharmacy and to present some of our researches and their achievements to you. And of course, I cannot go on without talking a little bit about the Nobel laureate, Svante Pääbo, who started his studies as an undergraduate student at Uppsala University. And he also finished his PhD on adenoviruses from the University of Uppsala. But during his studies for his PhD, he was also interested, besides genomics, in archaeology. And when he came to Uppsala a few days after the Nobel Award ceremony, he said that he was so happy that he had been a student at Uppsala University, because this is a broad university with so many different faculties. And he could combine his interest in genomics and in archaeology, and that brought on the future of his research, for which he was awarded the Nobel Award. So I think this is a good example of how you can work together between disciplines to make great achievements. Another great person from our university is Senior Professor Lars Landfeldt. And his research at the university has actually rendered a new medication which will help patients with Alzheimer's disease. As you know, this is a growing problem as the population is getting older and older. And his antibody that he has developed will take away the amyloid plaques from the brain, which then will delay the progress of the disease. So this is a great achievement, and we have great hopes that this will actually help patients all over the world who have Alzheimer's disease and their families. There is still ongoing research on this, and we know that he has filed for approval in EU for this medication. Hopefully he will get that soon. So from his laboratory, not only this antibody against Alzheimer's disease, but also other antibodies have been developed, both for imaging of diseases of the brain, but also for treatment of other diseases. One such antibody is addressing the problem of Parkinson's disease. And hopefully the researchers that are working together with him in his laboratory will achieve this goal to treat patients with Parkinson's disease in a better way. Another big problem that we are facing in society and the whole world is the emerging problem of bacteria being resistant to antibiotics. And this is really a great challenge of our time. And we are bringing this on ourselves by overusing of antibiotics. Bacteria, as you know, have an amazing ability to develop resistance mechanisms, and we are not lagging far behind in developing new medications to overcome this resistance. And to address this big problem, we have started a Center for Research on Antibiotic Resistance in Uppsala. Here we bring researchers together, senior professors, and also young PhD students to address this problem. Professor Anders Carlén is leading a big platform that is focusing on developing new antibiotics. He has been awarded a great amount of money from the EU, and now his research is also awarded by the Swedish government so that he can continue with his important work on development of new antibiotics. Don Andersson is trying to understand the mechanisms that bacteria use to develop resistance, because if we can understand how the resistance is developed, then maybe we can also address this problem in a better way. We are also studying how the doctor's discussions with the patient during a consultation can bring the patient to understand that the problem that they have is not demanding antibiotics, and we can then prevent from oversubscribing these medications. Another important innovation from Uppsala is the development of new tests that are very rapid in recognizing which bacteria the patient has and which antibiotic should be used. And by this we can also stop overuse of broad-spectrum antibiotics and instead give the antibiotic that the bacteria is actually sensitive to. Another thing that Sweden is very good at is creating quality registries. And pioneering this were, among others, the cardiologists. They started registering all patients with myocardial infarction many, many years ago. And this is now mandatory for all hospitals in Sweden. By these registries, they have developed new innovative ways of performing clinical trials. So what they do is that they use these registries to randomize patients for different medications. One example is a big study that was done randomizing patients with pain in the chest for receiving oxygen treatment or not. As you know, patients with myocardial infarction often have low oxygen levels in their blood, but in many cases, all patients, despite if they have low levels or not, they receive oxygen. And they could show that giving oxygen to everyone is not helpful. Only those that should have it is the ones that have a low oxygen level in the blood as they have their chest pain. So by this, they could then stop giving oxygen to all patients that were not needed. Another very interesting finding that they did by doing this randomization in registries is the use of stenting with the stents that have medication on them, showing that there was no need for this extra medication on the stents when you do this dilatation of the coronary arteries. So we could also stop using this. That was not necessary. These registries are now worldwide recognized, and they are actually exporting their registries to other countries, especially in Europe, but we are also looking into expanding the exportation of these registries to other parts of the world. I will end up then by telling you a little bit about precision medicine. In Uppsala, we are now starting a center for precision medicine, mainly in the beginning focusing on cancer treatment and cancer diagnosis, especially by genetics. But one thing that we are really proud of is the work of our Professor Gunilla Enblad, who is a pioneer in creating CAR T cells. And what are CAR T cells? Well, these are cells that are immune cells that you take out of the body from a patient with a cancer, and then you sort of make these cells recognize the cancer outside of the body, and then you inject them back into the patient, and they will kill the cancer that the patient has. And this is a very precise treatment, because you can only treat that specific person with his or her own immune cells. So this is really a personalized way of treating patients with cancer. And at the moment, it's mainly lymphoma patients that are treated this way, but this is also something that is expanding to other types of cancer. And we have great hopes that this will be another way of treating patients that will cure cancer patients in the future. And by that, I would like to say thank you for your attention.
Next, Professor Emeritus Kjell Öberg will tell us about the collaborative relationship between Halim and Uppsala.
Honorable guests, the next presentation will be a little bit more personal, and I think now we have heard a lot of official presentation of our university. So now I will demonstrate to you how collaboration can develop in a very different way. And Chairman Yoon, do you remember that we met 18 years ago? You were coming to Uppsala in bad weather in November in Sweden, and he was just coming, standing outside my door. I hadn't got any information at all, So he had around 10 persons with him, and he was just saying that he wanted to talk with me about possible collaboration. So it came to a little bit shock because I had not prepared anything. But we sat down, had some coffee and tea, and we decided then to meet again the next day. And the next day I managed to make a mini symposium with activities that was ongoing in the hospital at that moment. So we managed to show most of our activities, and it turned out to be very successful because Chairman Yoon decided to invite me to come to Seoul or to Harlem University to demonstrate their activities. And so in 2006 I came here, and I really learned a lot of good activities, good research, and also other activities in the Harlem University. We started to discuss more firmly how should we establish a research collaboration and also exchange of research students. And it took another year to develop such a program with several discussions. And also we have decided that it should not only be research, it also should be some social activities to closer the two universities. So not only hard work, but also some fun. And together with Vice Chancellor Anders Hallberg, who became quite interested in this program, we started to develop a symposium. And the first symposium that we had was in neuroendocrine tumors, and the reason for selecting this topic, it was my research area. So it was quite easy to start the first program. But then, as you can see from a slide, so what we did was then, during the years, develop a lot of different symposia every second year in Uppsala and the second year in Harlem. And we tried to cover areas that was both of basic science and also clinical management of patients. So we had always looking at from bench to clinic. And as you can see, some of these areas are really up to date today also. The next symposium, which will be this autumn in September, will discuss artificial intelligence in healthcare, and it will be a quite interesting symposium with participation from both Harlem and Uppsala groups, which has got a lot of experience in this field. So during these years, now more than 15 years, I have developed a very strong friendliness with Chairman Yoon, and we call each other for brothers. And I must say that he has been so important to get this collaborative program running. He has always supported it very strongly, and also put a lot of own interest in most of these symposia. So it nowadays goes very well, and we have also increased the number of exchange students. And we hope that in the future we will also be able to present a lot of publications coming out from this collaboration. Without the help from two persons, you heard Mikael Norby presenting Linné, and he has been helping me with the social part of these symposia to make them a little bit more pleasant, not only hard work. And also my secretary, Agneta Mattsson, she is here as well. And without their help, it couldn't be so successful as it has been so far. By that, I just wanted to say congratulations to Chairman June for this medal, and I hope that we could continue to see each other in a long time future, in the future. So by that, I would like to stop there and give the floor to Anders Hallberg.
And now the Uppsala University Linnaeus Medal will be conferred. Professor Emeritus Anders Hallberg will read the award citation first, and then Vice Chancellor Anders Hagfeldt will present the medal to Chairman Tae Won-yoon. Now for the actual presentation of the medal, I will ask everyone to stand. 잠시 후 린네 메달이 수여될 때 사회자의 지시에 따라 모두 기립해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Dear Honorable Chairman Yoon, it's a great pleasure for me to be back here in Korea to see you, Chairman Yoon, and also other friends. And of course, it's very nice also to, for the first time, see President Yang Yi-choi. Through the regular contacts with Hallam University and the Hallam Medical School, we have indeed learned a lot about your educational system and about your wonderful country, Korea. I would also like to take this opportunity to officially thank Professor Öberg for making me, in my role as Vice Chancellor, aware of Hallam University, and for coming up with a constructive idea to deepen the contacts in between the two universities. We have, at Uppsala University, always been impressed of all the creative activities we find here at Hallam University. And we know also very much that we have much to learn from that. We very much appreciate, as you know, the ongoing fruitful cooperation. I would like to emphasize that I'm personally in particular appreciate the deep friendship that has been established. Thank you for that. Chairman Yoon, we met 15 years ago at the time you and your team visited Uppsala University. At approximately the same time, the Uppsala University's Linnaeus Medal in gold was awarded for the first time on the 300th anniversary of the birth of Carl Linnaeus. As the Vice Chancellor of Uppsala University, I awarded the first Linnaeus Medal in gold to His Majesty the King of Sweden. Among the scientists that had come to Uppsala at the same occasion and received the Linnaeus Medal in gold, we find Professor Bengt Samuelsson, who had received the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology 1982 for his fundamental work on the prostaglandins. Also, Professor James Watson, who received the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology already in 1962 for determining the structure of the DNA molecule, the very world-famous double helix model you know of, the Watson Crick model. But also Professor Michael Mayer, who received the Nobel Prize in Physics for more recently, 4 years ago in 2019, for his discovery of the first extrasolar planet orbiting a sun-like star. Today, the Linnaeus Medal in Gold will be awarded Chairman Dai-Won Yoon here at Hallam University. The explanatory statement reads, Chairman Dai-Won Yoon receives the award for his great achievements in promoting collaboration between Uppsala University and Hallam Medical Center and for building a bridge to several other leading universities in Korea. This has benefited Uppsala University and Sweden greatly. Joint and fruitful medical conferences have been arranged annually, both in Seoul and Uppsala, with a large number of leading researchers. With a tireless energy, Chairman Yoon has driven the cooperation forward since the first contacts were established in 2007. Chairman Yoon, please now receive the Linnaeus Medal in Gold from the Vice Chancellor Anders Hagfeldt from Uppsala University.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. 모두 자리에서 일어나 주시기 바랍니다. To congratulate Chairman Yoon, Hallam University student representatives will present him with flowers. Please be seated. And now the recipient of the Uppsala University Linnaeus Medal in Gold, Chairman Dae-won Yoon, will deliver his acceptance speech.
네, 마이크 괜찮아? Good morning. I would lose the award. How much appreciated for Carpon Linnaeus Medal in Gold towards the ceremony here in Hallam University. First of all, I would like to express sincere appreciations all delegates from Uppsala University. My special thanks must go to the Vice Chancellor and the Mrs. Chancellor, Anderson Hegefeld, who don't mind to take a long journey, but he is being with us today. Thank you for sparing your precious time. Carbon Linnaeus is not only a botanist, but he is a great hero in the history of humankind. In particular, more than 50 years with he and his apostles. Apostles means follow, dedicated themselves, sacrificed sometimes. He tries to separate the plants, animal, mineral in the world. Think about over 50 years challenge. It's an amazing challenge. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. That's why we memorize him and his achievement. It's a great day. So we have a really wonderful day. Today, we have a special guest from New York, former president of New York Presbyterian Hospital. New York Presbyterian Hospital is a merging hospital between the Columbia Medical Center and New York Hospital. When President Robert Kelly is president at New York Presbyterian Hospital, the gate of exchange program is widely opened. As a result, flocks of interior of leaderships, faculties, medical students, nurses, technicians, social workers, extras, many things. Thank you so much, Lord Kelly, for your strong support. Today, Korea Congress holds an annual assembly meeting. That means all ministers have to stay at the Congress. That's why missing person around here. Please welcome me by inevitable excuses. Now, Honorable Ambassador Daniel Burban and his associates, diplomats, all together participated in this ceremony. The distance from Harlem campus and the Chuncheon is not close, it's far distance. Thank you for spreading your precious times. There is one person I have to remind in this time. That is the former President Anderson Harberry's wife, Gunilla Harberry. His father is Erland Santos. He was a surgeon. During the Korean War, he dedicated himself to save many devastated, wounded Koreans at the Red Cross Hospital, Busan. After the Korean War, he continued to dedicate himself at the National Medical Center to save dedicated and wounded Korean people for 3 years. we at Korean never forget your real humanism. Finally, what I have learned through the Linnaeus Medal toward from Uppsala University, Kingdom of Sweden, and Swedish people. I have learned there is Finland people, Swedish people possess unique life of style, characterized by understanding the other side, and the generosity, and respect divergence, equalizations, no discriminations. How about other world? Answer is no. There is many discrimination, bias, different. The Swedish people's life is really genuine. Genuine humanism is a forever peace. It's endless gift. I got a huge gift through the Linnaeus Medal toward. That is genuine humanism. And endless love. And belief. And the same wishes. That is what we have to call. We have to wear. That what I have learned. Big, valuable gift from the Linnaeus Medal in gold. It's a great word. We have to together. We have to believe. We have to go together. Let's make a really just like what a wonderful day. I believe I learned from the Swedish people their unlimited love, genuine humanism. That is all. That is really all. That is men have to go. Takemushi, thank you very much.
And now, the Uppsala University Linnaeus Medal will be pinned on the lapel of Chairman Yoon's jacket by his son and Executive Director of the Ilsong Educational Foundation, Sung Yoon. Thank you for the grand congratulations. Please be seated. And now we have a congratulatory performance by Professor Byung-Hoon Park of Halim University. He will sing 2 songs for us today. First, a traditional Korean folk song titled Pagyeon Waterfall, followed by the Swedish folk melody O store Gud, or How Great Thou Art.
악연 폭포 흘러내리는 물은 범사정으로 감돌아든다. 애로와 좋고 좋다 정들여놓고 이별이 찾아서 못 살겠네. 애로와 좋고 좋다 엄마 기어라 내 사랑. O store Gud, jag den feldbeskådar som du har skapat med ditt allmaktsord. Hur där din visdom väver livets trådar och alla väsen mättas vid ditt ord. Då brister själen till lovsångsut. O store Gud, o store Gud. Då brister själen ut i lovsångsut. O store Gud, o store Gud. När sommarvinden susar över fälten, när blommor dofta in vid källans rand, när trastar drilla i de gröna tälten, vid fyr i skogens tysta dunkla rand. Då brister själen ut till lovsångsut. O store Gud, o store Gud. Då brister själen ut till lovsångsut. O store Gud, o store
Thank you, Professor Park. And that concludes the Uppsala University Linnaeus Medal Award ceremony. Following this ceremony, there will be a luncheon at the Campus Life Center, and our staff members will be available to guide you to the luncheon venue. Thank you very much.